So here I am going to waste your time for God knows how long about the 4 years I've experienced with BBTAG. As of 2 days ago? It's been 4 years of BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle ever since its announcement, which it does not feel like it's been 4 years, but at the same time, it's so weird that it's been 4 years already that this game has been announced. And I thought about, you know what, let me just make a video about the history, like not really a history video, that's going to be like something for later if I ever decide to do it. This is more of a video just me rambling and poorly editing all the shit together to get my points together. So yeah, it's been 4 years since BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle has been announced. Everyone was there, everyone saw it. It was right after the Jubei announcement, which was just, it was an insane day, It was an insane day. Because, not only, Evo's doing its thing, Jubei gets announced, and everyone's like, oh shit, that's awesome, Jubei's finally getting the Central Fiction. And, that's something people have been wanting for a long-ass time. Then, out of freaking nowhere, you see, Ragna and Jin show up on the cross field. They're like, oh, great, they're gonna fight, maybe it's a new stage, maybe it's a sequel to Central Fiction, or an upgraded version, extend, nobody knew. And then Hyde from Under Night and Birth, and Yu Narukami from Persona 4 Arena, pop in, and seeing them clash and all of them fighting each other. It was a weird thing to see. But at the same time, I was like, oh my god, I couldn't even focus half the time because I was literally there screaming like, oh shit, we're getting a crossover game between these three. And it's a magical time. Not only Jubei got announced, but just seeing that happen right afterwards just literally sent my brain to overdrive. A crossover game between BlazBlue, Persona 4, and Under Night. It's something I never thought would be possible, but knowing that ARCSYS had a hand, and they obviously made Persona 4 Arena, and they had a helping hand in publishing Under Night, and some character stuff, it's not a shock to see that come together, but the fact that it came together in the first place is a thing, because ARCSYS really doesn't do crossovers, so when we got a really major one in the form of BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battles, it's magical. So as the trailer comes to an end, we see Ruby from the Ruby series, Ruby Rose from the Ruby series, and that really just shook me, right? Now, I didn't know anything about Ruby at that point. I knew about Ruby's existence, but as for knowing the characters, lore, music, I wasn't really into that because I didn't know. And when Ruby popped up, I didn't know what to think at that point. First of all, it was like a big hype thing because it's like Ruby's an American web show, right? It's a web show created by Americans in America, but it's kind of like emulating the style of anime. But the fact that ARCSYS had recognized it, Arc System Works has recognized it and put it near BlazBlue is both equally fitting and so cool that I just didn't know what to think at the time. Because I didn't know anything about Ruby, but the fact that it got in is it's like one of those fanboy dreams I've always had when I was younger. I was like, man, I wish a series I made, I'm an American, right? And I would have been like, man, I wish there was a series that I made that would be recognized by a company, by a creator, by a franchise that I really loved. And if I were to ever create one of my stories and ARCSYS somehow knew about it and just made it into a game or some shit like that, there would be no understanding at that point. I would have lost my goddamn mind for something like that to happen. And the fact that Ruby got into Cross-Tag because Mori was a big fan of Ruby and then Monty Ohm was a big fan of BlazBlue, it was like a match made in heaven, but at the same time, it's still weird to this day. Now, it's been 4 years since Cross-Tag Battle has been out. Ruby kind of fits in really perfectly with the rest of the game because it's been out for so long. But at the time, it was the most mind-blowing thing ever. Now the crossover, it's like that whole trailer was just nothing. Actually, not even just the trailer. The whole day was just nothing but surprise after surprise after surprise, and it was so surprising. I got a legit headache. I'm not even kidding. I got a headache that day because of how fast the hype was coming. Oh shit, Jubei gets into Central Fiction. Oh shit, Ragna is duking it out with Yu Narukami and Haikido. Oh shit, Ruby from Ruby is coming in. It's just, and it's a game. And then there's more to come after that. It was insane, and the hype was just going off, man. The hype was popping. This was around the time, I think Dragon Ball FighterZ was out around this time. Not out yet, but it was announced at this point. So everyone was just dunking on Capcom at that time. It was so funny because I think the most recent game Capcom made at that time was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. And they were already ganging up on them for Dragon Ball FighterZ, but like when Cross Tag Battle got announced, it was just all over. Like it's like, man, another crossover tag team fighting game, turning down Marvel Infinite. It was a magical time to be an ARCSYS fan. Like I think at that moment, being an ARCSYS fan around that time was just the best thing ever. Like it finally got to the point where I could just brag about ARC System Works at that time, you know? Like ARCSYS was not a relatively known company. They were known, but they were still niche, you know? They made games that people liked, but they weren't, you know, seen through the mainstream lenses yet. So the fact that Dragon Ball FighterZ and then Cross Tag Battle coming after that, and then finally they made Jubei playable in Central Fiction, it was a magical time to just say, ARCSYS is so cool right now, you know? And that's when the initial hype train going off. Like the moment that game got announced, they later made an alpha build where you could play as Ragna, Yu, Hyde, and Ruby. That was around the time where Ruby had like I think Lindsay Jones, the voice actress for Ruby, she just had a kid at that time. And you know, when she did her English voice outs for Ruby in the first game, it was like really loud and a little obnoxious. But you know, she just had a kid, so they had to re-record all her lines. And yeah, they had the build first. I never got a chance to play the build, but like I did see the character select screen they used for the build, and like everyone was kind of confused. Everyone was thinking, man, okay, so the build says there's 7 characters per slot. So that means there will be 7 BlazBlue characters, 7 Persona 4 characters, 7 Under Night, and 7 Ruby characters, and which may round out for a total of 28. And that was pretty much the best speculation we have there. First of all, people were ragging the character select screen because it kind of looked ugly, and funny enough, it carried all the way to the launch and still stays to this day, which I just find hilarious. But I did on my channel record some of the stuff because there were some people I knew who went out there to play the alpha build at God, where was it? I think it was in New York. But anyway, yeah. Some people started recording stuff. I did too. I recorded that 50-minute long ass. There was a 50-minute long ass video on my channel that I recorded a while back. Was just from the build because I didn't get a chance to play it to myself because everyone else was hogging the freaking booths and shit. So I had to go around and start recording like from like side stuff. So ARCSYS started releasing a little bit of footage on their channel of the build. There was some gameplay stuff that ARCSYS showed off on their YouTube channel about Ruby and Weiss at the time. Then, not too long after that, I think, you know what? I'm gonna go through this in order. This is the hype part of the video where everyone was just hyping. You know, this is the hype part of the video, and I want to get into like character speculation next. So as for character speculation, it wasn't really an easy thing to talk about because honestly, everyone was trying to figure out who was going to get in. Because the only basis we had off originally was the original character select screen and the slots that there. Everybody kept thinking that it was going to be 7 characters per slot. We all kept thinking that, and there was also the etc. bar. So we kept thinking, okay, we didn't know what to believe at the time. We thought that we were just going to use the 7 characters as a base. So we're going to pick 7 characters from each franchise and toss them into the game. And then the etc. bar maybe are characters from other franchises that can make it in, because it wasn't out the realm of possibility. It's not like ARCSYS didn't say we couldn't think of other characters from other franchises, and obviously later, as of 1.5, we know that more characters were going to come in from other franchises, but we didn't have much to go on about that, because if ARCSYS just came out and straight up said, yeah, there will be only 20 characters in the roster, that would be different. But so we just kept thinking, man, who is going to make it in this game? Who the hell is going to make it in this game? I didn't really have much because, honestly, I just threw in the ones that felt obvious. Like, for the BlazBlue side, there would be Ragna, Jin, Noelle, Rachel, Hazama, you know, maybe some characters like Nu or Hakumen or Makoto, you know, characters you feel like they'd be obvious. And it didn't really open up much discussion, because if we thought the characters were going to be obvious, that means, you know, there were some characters that we feel like they were going to get in, were never going to get in. Like, for Persona 4, it seemed obvious, you know, like, you got, like, what Yu already is in there. So that means there were 6 more character slots left to burn through, right? So that would be Yu, Chie, Yosuke, Yukiko, Kanji, Naoto, and Teddy. So that's already the 7 characters burned through already. And then Under Night was different because we could probably guess who could get in there, because Under Night anyone could have got in. Ruby, anyone could have got in, but obviously Team Ruby had to make it in first. So that means if they were to make it in first, that means there only be 3 slots left open for whoever else to get in. And yeah. So yeah, it was a time speculating characters in. I don't know. I didn't want to do speculation too much, really, because I just wasn't too sure, and I just left that alone to other people who wanted to, see the characters get in this game. But it got people talking. That's the one thing that I really like about the early days of Cross-Tag Battle. People were talking about the game. Even people who weren't even fans of BlazBlue or Under Night or Ruby, they were talking about the game. Even people who weren't even fans of any of the 4 franchises saw how cool the idea of the game being a crossover was, and were talking about it. And that's the best thing about it. Like the early days, I could just, every post I could make on a site was just about the game, and everyone would talk about it. And I loved those days. Because of that, I met some Ruby fans who actually talked about Ruby characters. And I will never get over those days because how insane they were. So because there were some characters from these franchises that I didn't know of, I had to go out and do my own goddamn homework. So in order to do my homework for a series that I didn't know of, like Under Night and Birth and Ruby, I had to essentially go out of my way to try to find / watch these series. So for Under Night and Birth, I bought the original PS3 copy of EXE Late. And I played the game. I had a lot of fun with it. And then about, a year or so later, I got a copy of EXE Latest, which was funny to me. Then for Ruby, I had to essentially watch Ruby. And I kept up with Ruby until Volume 6 and kind of just, fell out of it. But I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed my time for what little I watched Ruby. I mean, hell, it didn't cost me nothing. It was all there on YouTube. Well, back when Ruby was on YouTube, it was free to watch. I had a fun time with it. It was okay. It was a time where I can actually, because I made like a log of my experiences with Ruby as I was going season by season, and it was not funny to have something new to talk about to people. First of all, there was an Under Night thing, but everyone had EXE Latest by the time, and obviously I have EXE Latest, so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna play the before version, just to play that. But yeah, I was making a log about Ruby as I was going through the series and telling people, okay, I passed Volume 1, these are my notes, I passed Volume 2, these are my notes, I passed Volume 3, because I think at that time, Ruby went up to just Volume 4, if I remember correctly. Like Volume 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, they didn't exist at that point, and it's crazy, it's been 4 years. But yeah, at the time, I think Volume 4 was the only one that existed at that point, so I had to watch all the way up to Volume 4, and then I kept going past 5 and 6 until I just fell out of it. But the fact that I was able to talk about a series with some people and speculate, it was nice. I got to learn more about Team Ruby, the other characters outside of Team Ruby, like Team Juniper. I got to learn about the villains like Adam and Cinder, stuff like that. And I was able to finally have a discussion, because I feel like if I was left out of the loop in regards to some of these characters, things would have been off. Plus, the idea of Cross-Tag, being this crossover game, especially with Persona 4 Arena getting in, made me go back and actually play a Persona 4 Arena. Because back in the day when I had Persona 4 Arena, I had Ultimax. And I didn't even enjoy the game. I'm not gonna lie. I did not enjoy Persona 4 Arena Ultimax at all. Something about the game just felt off to me. But when Cross-Tag got announced, I was like, you know what? Let me give Persona 4 Arena a chance. Let me give it another chance. It probably is different from the last time I played it. Because back then I was like really ignorant of the game, and I didn't really appreciate for how much fun I could have with the game and how much I actually liked it. So going back, I played Persona 4 Arena Ultimax again. I was like, man, I actually really like this game. It's a really fun game. And I was like, man, I can't believe it. I just like playing the game now. So not only that Cross-Tag Battle being announced got me into Ruby, it got me to playing Under Night, which was, a good thing. And it also got me to enjoy Persona 4 Arena again, which, thank God for Cross-Tag Battle doing that. It got me to enjoy some things that I never thought I would ever get a hold of and enjoy, which is actually really nice. So people were talking about the game, things were going fine. Things were actually going really fine. People were actually speaking up about the series. People were getting into BlazBlue because of this. And that was like, just getting more people into BlazBlue is a good thing, right? Don't get me wrong. Getting more people in the other franchises is a good thing. Because I feel like without this game, I would have never played Under Night. I won't lie to you. I would have never even bothered to touch Under Night, or at least got it that early, if I hadn't, even knew about Cross Tag Battle. So time was passing, people were being hyped up. But then ARCSYS, I forgot where this source came from, but then we got the issue of DLC. And I was like, man, the game ain't even close to being out yet. Why do we have DLC already? You know what I mean? So then they brought up the idea of, okay, here's your DLC. There will be 20 characters for the base roster and 20 characters for DLC. Now, I think at this time, if I remember correctly, I think around this time, this is around where all the characters were already announced, if I remember correctly. So there'll be 20 characters for the base roster, including which is weird that Ruby and Weiss were the only Ruby characters they're going to make in, while Blake and Yang were going to be set up for DLC. And first of all, and that right there, it killed any immediate hype for what Cross Tag had. Like, Cross Tag had a lot of hype going in. It had unbelievable amounts of hype. People were talking about it everywhere. And that never happens for anything involving BlazBlue. Ever. It never, like, it was right there. ARCSYS had it right there, and it had to bring up the notion of DLC. They had it. They literally had it right there in their hands. And so they brought up DLC. And honestly, 20 characters. And it, not only that, like, half the characters are not even, like, locked behind a paywall. Half the characters, like, from the Ruby side, weren't even going to make it in the game. Now, at first, they bust out of a trailer for Blake, right? They busted out a trailer for Blake, and they said that she was a DLC character. That was the initial warning sign, because, like, no one knew about the whole 2020 character thing until Blake's trailer came out. And then we saw that, like, okay, what the shit? Why is she a DLC character? And, it got everybody talking, and it's like, oh yeah, then ARCSYS brings out that there are going to be 20 DLC characters. And that right there immediately killed any hype that the game had. It pissed me off so greatly. I just spent, the next few months or so just complaining about that one thing, and people hated it. People hated it, man. No one liked that. There were some people who defended it, but majority of the people hated it. And it was... I have never had hype for a game be killed so fast, so quickly. Because, like, I think that was the reason why, like, I just had an issue. Because ARCSYS, I already had an issue with ARCSYS, right, at that point. When Central Fiction came out, and it was, kind of, quote-unquote, rushed for EVO, and they had to kind of, bring it out without English dub, that kind of killed my relationship with ARCSYS. But hearing this, hearing this whole deal really rubbed people the wrong way, and it was just a bad time. ARCSYS had so much momentum going in, and they just shot it down that quickly. And yeah, that was a main issue. I'm not going to talk about it too much, because honestly, that was everyone was talked about that to death. But it was a bad time to be an ARCSYS fan at that point, because, like, it was right there. ARCSYS had it, and then they brought this whole thing. Blake being DLC was just like a kick to the nuts, right? And everyone, when people go back in that trailer, they were like, oh, well, if Blake was going to be originally free DLC. Okay, there's 2 points that I have to make to that. One, no, she wasn't. They didn't directly call her free DLC until they had to make an updated trailer telling that to calm some people down, to say that she was free, because she wasn't free at first. She was intended to be paid as, and then they brought another trailer saying that she was free along with Yang. And two, she was DLC in the first place. Like, what the shit? I understand sprite working is a pain in the ass, and don't get me wrong, but the fact that Blake and Yang were DLC in the first place was just did not sell right. And like, there was a lot of Ruby fans going into this game, so to hear the fact that their characters will be DLC, was just bad. And yeah, the roster of 20, and considering that most of the characters are BlazBlue characters, which fair enough, understandable. BlazBlue mix-up is called BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle. But like, when you get the launch roster, everything's so unbalanced, it's insane. Only 409 characters, only 4 Persona 4 characters, only 2 Ruby characters, and like, what? Let's see here. Yeah, 10 BlazBlue characters. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that initial DLC thing kind of killed any hype the game had going in. So yeah, after the whole deal with the DLC kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and understandably it did, then we get the announcement that the English dub for BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle was going to be a thing. Now, understandably, after Guilty Gear XR Revelator came out, I didn't have too hopes on ARCSYS dubbing anything ever again, because XR Sign had a dub, and it had a decent dub. It actually had a pretty good dub now, looking back on it, you know? And it had so much, you know, it obviously had to go into the files to learn most of these things, but it had a lot of character in those files. And they had a lot of spirit putting in this dub. Hell, they did some things BlazBlue wouldn't even do, like freaking actually dubbed the damn announcement voices. Like, in BlazBlue, we don't get the announcement voices dubbed at all, which is so weird. Like, I want to hear Ragnar call Hakumen, you masked freak, in English, damn it. But anyway, the point is, yeah, when they said Revelator wouldn't have a dub, I was like, why? You guys, like, why? You guys freaking, it's like, when looking back on the lines between Sign and Revelator, they're not even that different compared to the new character line. So, like, what they did was pretty much just, like, say, you know, we're going to scrap the whole thing, F it. I was like, why even bother dubbing Sign? You're just going to take the whole damn thing away to the next game. That's what pissed me off. And then Central Fiction comes out with no dub, and then that's where it just, I lost faith. I lost faith that ARCSYS was never going to dub again. I completely and utterly lost faith in ARCSYS dubbing ever again. So, CrossTag comes out, and before the dub was even announced, I was sitting here thinking, ARCSYS is not going to dub this game. Like, I kept thinking, okay, if Ruby already had English voice quotes, and while everyone else, everyone else, like, Ragna, you, Hai, they already had your Japanese voices, my guess is they were going to kind of go the Tekken route and just have Ruby and only in English, and Ragna and everyone else that's not Ruby in Japanese. Now, at first, that was, obviously weird and not understandable, but at the same time, I thought, yeah, that ARCSYS would totally do that, because I had zero faith, so I had no expectations that they were going to dub it again. So they did. They brought a dub. They kind of say the dub was kind of like an apology for not dubbing Central Fiction, which, honestly, I really wish they just dubbed Central Fiction and just saved the hassle, because the console, I feel like just not dubbing Central Fiction kind of hurt some of their sales, at least over in the West Side, which I can't blame people for not getting Central Fiction when it's dubbed, considering the fact that, like, I mean, I can blame them, not, like, at this, like, this, okay, I'm not going to get in that whole discussion, because I already made a whole video about that, but the point is, yeah, this game was getting announced to be dubbed, and a lot of naysayers came up, it's like, these characters are not going to get the same English voices, but I don't know. I was just happy that it was dubbed, but at the same time, I did have like my worries. But I knew ARCSYS wasn't going to go out of their way to try to get completely new voice actors for this, especially when they had some already in quote unquote stock. And I'm happy that CrossTag got dubbed, so thank God for that. Honestly, if CrossTag didn't get dubbed, I would have got it, but I would have never gotten it on launch. Honestly, the dub is the reason that I didn't get it on launch. And for the first time ever, Under Night will get a dub, which is so funny to me. Even to this day, it's like to this, like, currently now, Under Night having a dub is not out of the realm of possibility, and it's not like anything weird. But like back in the day when characters were getting announced for dubs, and everyone else was coming back from their respective series, like all the BlazBlue characters are coming back as their voices. Persona 4 was coming back as their voices. Ruby was obviously coming back with their voices. Under Night getting a dub was the funniest thing ever, because, like, obviously you never expect Under Night to get a dub. French Bread has no money, so they have no dub money. So yeah, hearing High as Kyle McCarley, Linnea as Sarah Williams, Carmine as Greg Chung, stuff like that, it was the weirdest thing ever, and it was a good thing. Thank freaking God. Honestly, I would have never got that game if it didn't have, like, I would have got CrossTag, but not on launch. Hell to the no. So around this time, they started busting out GameStop demos of the game. You could go to GameStop and literally play a build of the game. I didn't get a chance to. I think I did once, but they didn't have, like, I went to GameStop to try to go play a build, but my nearest GameStop didn't even have the build set up, which is depressing. But from what I understood the build, they excluded Chie from the build, and that became like a big meme for like a couple of days, because like they had the build but forgot to put Chie in it. I don't know why. Like all characters are Chie. Like I thought it was like a previous build they had before Chie got in, but like it wasn't. It was just like they excluded her, and it was just the funniest shit ever. But yeah, they were actually going pretty hand in, trying to get this game out to more people. They were streaming it quite a bit on their YouTube channels for various matches and stuff like that, GameStop builds. There was the SakuraCon that they did like a 50-minute stream showing off the dub. Like seeing these dub intros was like the coolest thing ever. Like you see intros of like what? You see intros of what? You and Hyde, You and Ragna, you and S, Jin and Noelle, Ruby and Ragna, Hyde and Noelle, Yosuke Line, stuff like that. And it was really nice to see, because I was happy to see the dub cast come back in some fashion, because it kind of like, it just felt unreal to me, you know, after the whole hype, you know, the hype killer that the DLC was, seeing these characters come back with their English voices intact, and along with the new English voices for the Under Night cast, it felt so unreal to me. I wanted to be pissed off at ARCSYS really for the whole DLC shit, but I could not be completely angry at them all the way because they got the dub back. That was all I really wanted for Central Fiction, and yet they brought it back for Crosstag. Honestly, to this day, I'm still conflicted about that, because I really believe they should have just dubbed Central Fiction anyway. You know, they wanted to rush it out for EVO, they wanted to rush it out for like, oh, we're trying to get this game out closer towards Japanese launch date. You guys didn't dub better, dub faster, I don't know. I know dubbing's a process, but shit, you guys just can't do that. You guys can't do that. You can't just make another game and not dub it, like shit. It did the same shit with Guilty Gear, I hated that, but yeah. See this game come back, it gave me hope that ARCSYS would dub again, and you know, they actually did. They actually dubbed Guilty Gear Strive, which is maddening to believe. Like, Guilty Gear of all things, they dubbed again. But, yeah. Just hearing these characters come back in their dub form, it just felt unreal to me, man. I cannot get over it. It just felt so unreal. But anyway, before that, actually not before that, not too long after that, I think this is before the game even came out. And they got the early Japanese copies of the game, right? Early Japanese copies, people were... Well, so I think it leaked. I can't remember if it leaked, but someone leaked the voice files and stuff like that, which I promptly went through and leaked them again. No one knew the voice files. But anyway, there was the first initial leak. They announced all the DLC characters, or at least the characters that were left. Because, like, around that time in that leak, we found the boss theme. And we didn't know that the boss theme was for the system, right? So this had to have been before the game came out, because that means people would have, you know, found the boss already and played through that. So I think this was before the game came out. But anyway, they announced the remaining characters that will get into the game itself. And then they announced that there were two characters that we didn't know who the franchise were from. Someone named Yumi and someone named Asuka. Now, knowing what Senran Kagura was, it was obvious what they were talking about. Some people wanted to believe it was something else. Some people wanted to say, you know, maybe it's not true. But it was true. They were in the goddamn voice files, and they still sit in the voice files to this day. So, like, Yumi and Asuka from Senran Kagura, and that was the first indicator that we were getting another series coming to this game, right? Because, like, this was before Arcana Heart got in. You know, this was before Arcana Heart was even announced for Crosstag. And this was before the game even came out, for Christ's sakes. Or at least came out to the West. So the fact that people found it and were able to figure out shit like this was maddening. Everyone started scrambling, like, wait, Senran Kagura's Yumi and Asuka? What the frick? Everybody's like freaking out. Everyone was freaking out because that meant the possibility of more franchises getting into this game. People lost their goddamn minds. This was for Arcana Heart. And oh man, I didn't know what to believe, man. First of all, that boss thing got me. I was like, oh man, I wonder what this boss team is. They're gonna do an original boss, they're gonna do an original character. It didn't turn out to be the system, which is still a good song, but like, it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting like a secret character or something, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, like everyone just kept freaking out, like thinking, are you kidding me? So that means like they kind of restored some hype to people, you know, like because there's the possibility of more franchises getting into this game. That was the first floodgates of what's to come, and I like that because like people who were sour on the DLC. I mean, yeah, that would have been more DLC if more franchises came in, so I can understand why people were still salty about that. But at the same time, I feel like more franchises getting this game could mean that this game could expand way more than it could have been before. So not too long after that, the game officially launched. Now I'm going to mostly talk about the North American launch because that's when I got the game. I got the game 2 days before the actual official launch. I broke street date because I went to a GameStop and got my copy pre-ordered, which I never pre-order games, but I feel like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna give Crosstag a chance. Even though the DLC hurts my soul, I'm gonna give this game a chance. And launch opinions on BlazBlue Crosstag Battle are pretty much, the game has no content in the beginning. It kind of still doesn't to this day, but like, the game on launch is practically like, it's like one of the most barren fighting games I've played in a long ass time. your 20 characters of BlazBlue cross-type battle, you know, they're great and all, but you're going to run through them pretty quickly without the variety popping up. Now, you also got team variety, so that's the one thing that kept the game from getting, you know, super stale after a while. But as for that, there was like really no content. Once you're done with the story modes, that's kind of it. The only thing that the story mode kind of did was artificially pass time by having to go do the other story modes. Like go back to the BlazBlue story mode, do that multiple times to get the other endings, and then come back for one final ending where you can get the true ending. And you got nothing for doing all that except the battle theme for the system, which kind of is like, I mean, yeah, you got the theme song, which is great, so you can play through it, but it felt like kind of disappointing. That's all you got from beating the story mode. Like you couldn't unlock a battle with the system itself. You couldn't, like, I don't know, you couldn't unlock more music, or you could unlock some special colors or some extra money or something like that. No. Limiting story mode was not very, like, the story mode for the base version of Cross-Type Battle wasn't exactly bad, but they didn't do it how I expected. With this whole crossover deal, I was expecting that the game wouldn't take it seriously. BlazBlue has a lot of experience with gag reels, so I figured that they were going to just make this a whole gag reel, like they capitalize on the idea of, yeah, these are all characters from various franchises and they're going around goofing off or some shit like that. They did that in 2.0, which is great, but as for the original first 4 story modes of this game, nah. They had 4, 5, 6 different opportunities, because I'm counting the endings as their own opportunity. And like when I saw the magazine, like Famitsu, like a Famitsu magazine, showing that the whole Ragna and like Ragna, Ruby, Hyde, and you, that they were a Yasagami High, I thought it was a gag reel. I mean, everyone thought it was a gag reel. Everybody freaked out. So we thought that we were going to get cross-series gag reels. Like, that would have been sick. Like, seeing the Kings game between, like, the Under Night, Ruby, and Persona Forecast, that would have been so sick. But, yeah, we didn't get that. It was just an ending. I mean, it was a funny ending, but it wasn't what I expected. And, like, that kind of just... Cross-Tag Battle on launch wasn't terrible, but, like, it just didn't... It didn't have enough, you know? So... if you want to stick around for Cross Tag, you will have to wait for the rest of the DLC characters to come in. That's when the rest of the DLC character packs came in. You could buy the character packs individually, or you buy the whole shebang for the all-in-one pass. And the all-in-one pass was pretty, cheap. They compensated that. Like, okay, guys, you have 20 DLC characters. We're gonna make the pass super cheap, and we're gonna give you Blake and Gang for free. And yeah, it was. The DLC characters coming in was nice. It kept my interest in playing Cross Tag, but like, there was something definitely missing about the game. Like, there was no arcade mode, like, normal modes were missing, there's, like, 0 content, like, it was barren, to say the least. It was really barren. But, having these DLC characters come in was pretty nice. Having these DLC characters come in was pretty nice, because, like, there's some characters, like, how Jubei got into this game, even though he was DLC in Central Fiction. Which, funny enough, because of that, I was put off from getting Jubei, from getting Central Fiction. I was like, well, he's getting the cross tags, so why I gotta get him for Central Fiction? Even though I did that later, and I don't even play Jubei now, but at least he's here. But yeah, all the characters are coming in. I kind of didn't bother to look forward to the character DLC passes videos anymore, because when the game was coming out, I was watching those videos, like, religiously. Like, when they were bringing out the character introduction videos, like, oh shit, God, what was that shit? Where Rooster Teeth does, RTX, there we go. And he's like, oh man, they were having a Rachel Hosma Weiss trailer in RTX. Like, that was cool. They were doing these character trailers pretty regularly at different places, but once the DLC characters started to come out, I kind of didn't care anymore, because I was like, well, I have to pay for them anyway. Like, there's no hype for me anyway. Like, I don't care about DLC as much as I care about the characters automatically getting in. It's like, yeah, characters are happy, like, they're getting in as DLCs, which is cool, but like, I don't care. So I just stopped caring what characters got in at that point. And, characters just came in, and then they stopped after a while. They were like, I think they locked at 31, because that means there will be like there'll be like 9 more characters to get in, and they waited to Evo to release the rest of them. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, 31 characters are already here, people playing them, and then they released the other 9, and they did that at I'm about to yawn. Oh, they did that at Evo, and that means they make the roster up to 40. I was like, awesome. All 40 characters are here. Labras got in. Cool. I don't even care anymore. Awesome. So I bought all the DLC characters. I waited till they all came out. No, I did. I think I bought the packs individually, because I just didn't want... I didn't... Each time I had money left on my PSN account, I just bought the character packs because they were already there, instead of buying the whole season pass. And I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter. So technically I bought all the packs individually, which is funny to me. So, right during that Evo trailer, they had a little trailer for like, okay, we're gonna have this trailer, we're gonna show you all the rest of the characters, and then we're gonna spook you at the end by having a pink diamond sigil at the end with the other 4. And everyone started speculating what that was. Like, okay, a new series, let's go. Senran Kagura, which was already leaked beforehand, wasn't pink. There was no colors associating Senran Kagura with the color pink, so we kind of left that out. My guess was Arcana Heart. It just felt right, you know, like ARCSYS already had a hand in publishing some of the games already on the roster. They had help in making some of the games, with the exception of Ruby, but that's only because Mori was a fan of Ruby. So whatever this pink franchise was going to be, it had to have some kind of association with ARCSYS in some fashion. And the only one I could think of was Arcana Heart. It felt right, you know. It had to have been Arcana Heart. And then that's where BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle 1.5 comes into play. Now, before I even get to start talking about BBTAG 1.5, I just really wanted to say that, yeah, the DLC practices for Cross-Tag Battle was really dumb. It was a long time ago, but just, not really a long time ago, but just thinking about it now, just seeing how hard ARCSYS dropped the ball on it, it's still funny. People got pissed. People got rightfully pissed. Like, even to this day, I don't know what to think about it, you know? Like, on one hand, you got, you know, the 2.0 expansion, right? So, complaining about the DLC is a bunch of it. It's not, we can't really do that much anymore. Now, if it was different now, you get the base game or you get the special edition, but the special edition is a standard now. It's not like something like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where that's the only version of the game you can get, that you have to buy the DLC in order to make the full roster. Yeah, nowadays, there's nothing to complain really much about since the special edition came out, but it's still not good. Still not good, but at least I can say it's good if the special edition exists, because holy shit. But yeah, this is too early for me to talk about the special edition, really. It's too early for me to talk about it, because I really want to just bring it up, because I knew someone was going to say something about it. So yeah, let me just move on to talk about BBTAG 1.5 already. Now, Cross-Tag Battle 1.5 wasn't really anything spectacular, but it did bring out 4 new characters. It brought in Heart from Arcana Heart, which that means Arcana Heart characters were able to get in the Cross-Tag, which was a nice thing to see at all. And then you get Naoto Kurogane from BlazBlue, you get Seth from Under Night, and you get Teddy from Persona 4 Rita. Now, it was nice. And plus, ARCSYS made the pack free if you already bought all the other DLC characters, which was a nice thing for them to do. They did as a make good, because first of all, you wait like, what? Was it like 6 months it took us to get more DLC characters after that? Oh my god. See, I think that's why Cross-Tag feels like it takes so long, because they make you wait long ass periods of time before you even got a new goddamn character at all, and that's what sucks. But yeah, 1.5 came out. They gave the characters for free, and if you want the characters individually, the pack individually, you can pay $10 for it. And that was a good like thing to do, because like they made you wait too long, and that was nice. But the sad fact about it is that these characters didn't have interactions, and that's what bothered me in the original. I was like, man, I mean, it's nice to have these characters here, but why they don't have interactions, you know? Seeing Naoto there and not see him interact with Ragna at all was really bumming me out. Like, why? But in the back of my head, I kept thinking, okay, there has to be a reason for this, right? There's no way they forgot this on purpose. So when I noticed the number was called 1.5, normally these BlazBlue games like to end off on a 2.0 launch or something. So my only guess is that everything they had that they were going to bring up was going to be dumped into the 1.5 kind of deal, right? I'm sorry, 2.0 kind of deal, right? I think they were holding back for a while until they were able to release all the characters they wanted in one go, and then they would give them all the interactions and quotes and all that shit. But it was a sad time. And yeah, the characters were free, thank God, but like, it felt like half the reason people wanted to play Cross-Tag was just gone, you know, with the whole interactions and the quotes and all that shit. And I mean, it was a good thing though. All the characters were there. You had 44 characters to work with. You had way more to work with than you originally did back in Cross-Tag 1.0, which was a good thing. So yeah, it was tough. I mean, yeah, it was bumming me out. But hell, playing as Heart was fun in Cross-Tag. Seeing Heart beat the shit out of Ragnar was really fun. Just seeing that happen was fun. Seeing Naoto get in the game was fun. Seth and Teddy getting in was really cool. But yeah, that was 1.5 in a nutshell. Honestly, the only thing they really did was add the Arcana Heart stage. They added a new HUD. They didn't really add much. They changed. They didn't really do much. You know, they really didn't do anything new to the game. Like they kind of just like let things happen. And yeah, it wasn't really anything new. Yeah, there was some balance changes and stuff like that, but I don't really talk about balance changes on my video because like I don't care enough to talk about balance changes. That's not really going to change anything. They added some new stuff. Don't get me wrong, but things didn't really come into their own until like when Cross-Tag Battle 2.0 came out. And I think that's when BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle was at its best, and still is at its best. Cross-Tag Battle 2.0 is the current iteration of the BlazBlue Cross-Tag Battle game. And it was a huge update. Like, it was so big that I thought, you know, things wouldn't actually happen like this. First of all, ARCSYS BlitzConf arrives to the series. And, okay, first of all, we still had Sinrun to look forward to. So we already had Arcane Heart at that point. So to see both Sinrun actually come in and ARCSYS BlitzConf, along with just ARCSYS himself and Blitztank, was a big shocker. And then I thought, oh my god, considering they wanted to use ARCSYS, they brought in the whole ass ARCSYS BlitzConf series, which means that got in. So that was 7 franchises that we have Cross-Tag Battle at this point. Sinrun Kaizouwar finally making it in, which was funny to me because it took so long to actually get here. Granted, they came with Yumi first, which kind of bums me out, but it's still estimable, so I'm not going to trip about it. There was Neapolitan from the Ruby series who got in, which, damn it, more Ruby characters. The thing about this initial launch of Cross-Tag Battle, like the first 2.0 trailers, they did a good thing though. 1, they brought in more series. 2, they finally brought in freaking another Ruby character. 3, they actually brought in characters people wanted to see, like Celica Elizabeth. 4, they actually brought in characters from like the villain side, like Adachi of all people have been wanting for like God knows how long. Susno, which I mean technically people want to tear me, but you're technically getting tear me, so there you go. And Hilda finally became playable. It was a 9-character pack. It was a big launch. Now granted, that pack was a little bit too much money, but considering all the things they added to it, I think the price was kind of worth it. And you know what? It was a nice thing to see, for Christ's sake. Like, it just... But not only they didn't do that, they added a whole ass new story mode. They added subtitles to, like, you know, the battles in case you wanted to play the game in English or Japanese. They added more lobby avatar stuff, more music. They added a goddamn jukebox, which I honestly believe that some of the music in the jukebox could have been, you know, battle music, like most of the Ruby music, but I'm not gonna complain. But yeah, they added a lot of stuff. They finally did that whole gag reel story mode I actually wanted since the very beginning. They listened to some shit. There's no way they did not listen to that, because that 2.0 story mode was funny as hell. And they did a lot of good things. Now, granted, there were some things they still didn't add that I really would like that they added. For example, arcade mode. I really wish they added an arcade mode, because they had so many opportunities to do so. It could... I just wanted more content for the game. That's the one thing that Cross-Tag Battle lacked really bad, and still does. It's content. They added more in regards to characters, a new story mode, music, you know, stuff like that, colors, but they didn't add anything else in regards to content. They didn't add new modes. Like, that's what sucks. Like, I wish they would have added a score attack, a time attack, an arcade, just a, you know, anything. And they didn't do that. But I mean, they added something. You know, they even changed the character select screen, which still looks kind of ugly. Like, it still looks kind of ugly because they still got characters that are still missing. Like, you gotta scroll over on a little dial to see what other characters you got left. Like, oh man, where are those DLC characters I bought? Oh, there's Celica way over. And I just find that hilarious. Like, the character select screen is ugly, but it's there. I mean, that was something I wasn't expecting them to ever going to change, because I felt like it was too hard rooted to change something like that. But whatever. But overall, 2.0 was a good enhancement of the game. It didn't add the content I wanted, but it added something. You know, it added a lot more. They finally added those interactions I talked about in 1.5. They didn't have, like, you know, Heart now has interactions. Sev, Teddy, Naruto, they finally have them, and everyone has them now. And it's a good thing, too, because, like, I would have lost my shit if they didn't have it in 2.0 either. But other than that, Cross-Tag 2.0 was it took a while. It feels like this is what happened when Street Fighter V came out, right? Street Fighter V came out, it had no content, people ripped on the characters, gameplay was a little wonky, but when they brought Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, that's when the game truly became its own. And that's what CrossTag 2.0 is. 2.0, CrossTag 2.0 is essentially Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, and I never thought I'd be making those comparisons ever, but when you look back at how these games came out, CrossTag and Street Fighter V do kind of share a couple of similarities with each other when they started out, and now 2.0 and Arcade Edition do share the same thing as well. It's so weird. I mean, yeah, they didn't Street Fighter V Arcade Edition did add, an arcade mode, a bunch of other modes and shit like that, so I can't give that a direct comparison. But at the same time, they added more to the game, which they didn't have in the original, and that's what I can say they did for CrossTag. So, yeah, 2.0 came out, people played it, people enjoyed it. I don't know, there's some people still playing this game to this day, so I can't say it's completely abandoned. Like, ARCSYS still has EVO tournaments. So, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the deal is. They've been having tournaments for years. Like, what? It's been, like, since 2019 since the game came out. Like, late 2019. I think November 2019 since the ARCSYS BlizzCon patch was announced, right? Like, when the 2.0 patch was announced. So it's been since 2019. And when it hits November of this year, it had been 2 years since it was announced. So I don't know what ARCSYS even barred. I mean, I've already mentioned that they probably just most likely abandoned the game at that point. They're not going to develop. They're not add more support development to it. They're not going to support it in regards of content. They're just going to do these tournaments and let the game just burn off in the wind. That's my guess. Because there's no way. I don't see them adding more content this way. I feel like they should though. I feel like ARCSYS should. I don't know why they just stopped supporting the game, but this is a 2.0 variation of it. So I feel like, yeah, maybe there's just, they don't want to do it no more. Maybe there's some contract reasons. Maybe they just don't care anymore and just want to move on to the next game. But I feel like CrossTag definitely could have been supported just a little bit longer. At least a little bit longer. That's what I feel like. I know, making a game at this rate would be hell, considering there's like more characters that could have been announced. I leaked that damn character placeholder thing, and I wasn't expecting all the other characters to come in, but like, I mean, damn, it feels weird to have only one Arcana Heart character, one Shenron character, only two Akatsuki characters. Like, it feels so incomplete. And I feel like that they could have added more to the game, like there could have been more to this game, more content. They could have rode the hype of this game longer than they had to. Make a BlazBlue CrossTag Battle extend, or make a true edition, the CrossTag Battle Complete Edition, or something like that, I bet people would have supported this game a lot longer. They would have bought the DLC. They would have bought the more characters. They would have done that. But knowing how 2.0, did a lot of stuff at once, it made me believe that, yeah, this was over. This was the end of it all. So, to me, I'm treating the game as if it's not going to get any more developer support in regards to content. They'll still have tournaments, they'll still talk about the game, they'll still have sales, but this game is no longer being developed, like, in regards to content. No more characters, no more single-player content, no more none of that. That's my guess. Because it's been too long, Some games have risen from the ashes, with content. Like, freaking, I know this ain't the best comparison, but Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. That game's been dormant for a while until they started adding, there was characters models already in the game, but the fact that they add costumes and shit like that, and the characters to become playable, they still support the game, like, what, years after the fact? Like, what, about 4 years after it launched? Yeah, that says something. So, it ain't out of the realm of possibility that CrossTag would get more content, but I'm saying that it's not going to get more content. I don't see it. It's too late in the game for that. But the only thing we got recently after CrossTag kind of went dormant in regards to support, was the BlazBlue Alternative Dark War. And Alternative Dark War came out, and before Alternative Dark War became a thing, CL Sulfur had an avatar already in the game files. So people were able to use it, purchase it from the shop. But then, when Alternative Dark War became a thing, then they put the CL avatar back so people can actually have it when they update the game. So, yeah, I get it, why, but, the fact that CL's avatar is the last support that, ARCSYS even bothered touching CrossTag Battle in regards of, adding things back to a game, It feels kind of weird, but I want to believe that ARCSYS could do something with the rest of this, but at the same time, I have no faith. I'm just gonna like say, let it go. They're not gonna support this game anymore in regards to content. It's over. It's cross-tag's done. The end. Let it go. It sucks to say that, but shit happens. You know what I mean? Shit happens. But at the same time, it's like, okay, whatever. But yeah, that's the history. Like not even like a history. That was just my experience with cross-tag battle. That's nearly every point that wasn't something that ran too long, like some miscellaneous things that I wanted to talk about, like, you know, streams and shit like that, songs they added in, which surprised me, like Shadow World from Persona 4 Golden. That was pretty much the start of cross-tag from the creation all the way to its current self now, so. It was fun talking with you guys. It really was fun talking with you all, and I will see you all next time because my throat is killing me from talking for so long, so. Without further ado, peace out everyone. I hope you have a great day. And please, if you're still playing cross-tag battle, keep playing it. It's a fun game. If you haven't even bothered touching cross-tag battle, play it still. The game's always going on sale, and you can get all 53 characters and all the fixins, all that shit for super cheap at times. So, you know, go get the game. If you've been on the fence about getting cross-tag battle, get it. The launch version wasn't very good, in my opinion, but it really got way better when 2.0 came out. I really do believe that. You know, I was really iffy on cross-tag battle. I ragged on it a lot. I gave it a lot of shit. But now that 2.0 came out, now that people are playing it, now the game's got, you know, enough content to justify the price tag. I honestly do believe that you should get it. Please, if you have any friends who are on the fence about playing cross-tag battle, don't just play it. You know, play it and see what you like. I mean, play the demo. You know, the demo's always out, you know, with the first 4 characters in the game. Play the demo. If you like the demo enough, buy the full game. Just, you know, buy the game. Buy the actual 2.0 pack. You know, buy 1.5. Sorry, not 1.5, 1.0, because the 1.0 is not very good, guys. But, hell, if it's super cheap, then go ahead. But, yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm rambling too long. See you all next time. Peace, everyone. I'm out of here. Play cross-tag battle.